as I processed what was going on, I was just like, wow, you know what, man? I had it that my dream was a one-time event. Like I just said, I was so laser focused on this one goal and so myopic about this one thing that it just occurred to me I only had one opportunity. Mm. And within an hour or two of laying in the tent up there, I was like, well, shit, man, I can do this dream as many times as I want.
Agent Power Huddle is a daily jumpstart, giving you all the tools you need to create an amazing real estate career. Led by top experts in the field, you'll learn how to sell more houses in less time while creating the life you want. Welcome to the Agent Power Huddle.
All right. Good morning, everyone. My name is Barry Overton, and I'm honored to be your host here today for the Agent Power Huddle. And we have a very dynamic speaker that's going to be joining us today. I'm really excited to have him on. I've had the pleasure of becoming his friend over the last year and just learning so much from him, just from a mindset standpoint and being able to, resilience and overcoming struggle and how it applies to business, how it applies to family. But let me just tell you a little bit about him. First and foremost, he is a realtor. He's also a coach. He's a yoga teacher, meditation teacher, a personal trainer, strength and conditioning coach, an Ironman competitor, endurance athlete, a nationally ranked gymnast, and an adventure sports enthusiast. And probably his proudest accomplishment is being a husband and a stepdad. But when you put all of those things together, he's just in one phrase, he's a bad man. And I am glad to have him on with us today. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Tim Murray. How you doing, sir?
Good. After an introduction, that you can't go wrong. Hear those words.
We're having a little technical difficulty.
Pleasure to be here this morning. Stoked to
All right, I think we got you now.
All right, yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, we got you.
Yeah, cool. Hey, thank you so much for those kind words, Barry. It's an honor to be on here this morning with you guys. Stoked to help everybody get fired up to start their day the right way.
Yeah, so, when I was doing some research on Everest, and I know you probably have the number to the person, the number of people that have climbed Everest, it was really intriguing to me. I know when I looked, it was like just eclipsed 6,000 in January of this year. Do you know what that exact number is now, or roughly what it is?
I don't know. You know what? I don't really follow that. I really rely on you guys to tell me numbers like that. I know it's not many, and it's even fewer that have summited.
Yeah. And the funny thing about it is when you hear 6,000, it sounds like a lot of people, but we're talking about ever. And so I was doing my research and I looked in and I saw that there's been 117 billion people that have walked the earth from the beginning of time. And roughly 6,000 have climbed Everest. And you are one of them. That amounts to about 1 out of every 18 million people. There's 21 million people in Florida, so that means 1.2 million people in Florida roughly have climbed Everest. So when you put it in that perspective, you know that this is a pretty amazing feat of what you did. But I want to go back and talk about the beginning. Where did the dream and the desire to climb start for you?
Oh man, when I was 16, when I was in high school, I did a Colorado Outward Bound course here in Colorado, right above Vail in the Gore Range. Everything about it captured my attention. Self-reliant in the wilderness. It touched me. It moved me. And I thought back then, Outside Magazine was coming online, and I just started to become aware at that time of Everest and of Nepal. I was already aware of the Andes and Peru and all of that. And I just kind of, once I started getting into the mountains, I was like, okay, cool. I want to do the biggest one.
Yeah, so it became a part of the vision board for you pretty early in life.
Yeah.
And we're going to kind of talk actual climbing Everest, and then just as we all have these mountains and challenges that we face, how we go about climbing them as we create our vision boards and create our goals and dreams. When they're big like that, they can be, it can be daunting. It can create fear in you. So I want to kind of be able to go in and out of talking about actually climbing Everest, and then how we, climbing the Everest that we have on our vision board, whatever that may be, how this correlates with that. So, and obviously you're 16 and you have this dream. You don't just go wake up one day and say, I'm gonna climb Everest. There's preparation that goes into that. Can you share some of that with us?
Yeah. So when I was 16, I had it that I would climb Everest by the time I was 50 years old, because when I was 16, 50 sounded like, that you're in your end days when you're hitting 50 and you haven't gotten your stuff squared away by then, you're probably not going to get it done. Yeah. And it required, like your physical body. I had it that, at 50, your physical body was just going to be deteriorating so badly that it wouldn't be worthwhile. So, I set basically, a 34-year trajectory to say like, hey man, I'm going to push myself as hard as I can in endurance sports. I was a professional endurance athlete for quite a while. And really, really see what I'm capable of. Like, what are my limits, knowing that the end goal, within the next 34 years, I'm going to climb Everest. And so as I crept through, my college years, I climbed a ton all over the place, rock and mountain, all over the place. And then after college, even during college, I went to the Himalayas. I made a point of trekking in Nepal 2 years in a row. I was over there again, a third year in 2000 for the World Championships of Adventure Racing. So that was a huge, huge deal where, we covered over 400 miles across the Tibetan Plateau and over the Himalayas down through Nepal into northern India in 8 days. Wow. And we're talking about 8 days of like maybe 12 hours of sleep over the cume of 8 days. And so preparation like that, where it was just like, okay, hey, cool. I'm really going to go deep into the suffer zone. I'm really going to go deep into like what I'm capable of and like, where do the wheels just fall off? Mm-hmm. Knowing that every time I put myself there, I was building more character for Everest.
Yeah. Yeah. And we're talking kind of more so from the physical aspect of actually going out and doing, but I'm sure that there was mental preparation that you have to go through as well. I'm sure there were challenges. I'm sure there were points where you thought, maybe this isn't my dream. How did you go through the process of building the mental stamina that it takes to climb?
Oof. Yeah. So again, as I got closer in the last 4 years leading up to me climbing Everest, I had a plan of which mountains to climb in which order to continually get bigger and acclimate higher and higher, and ultimately practice that. It's 8 to 12 to 16 hours a day of putting one foot in front of the other and taking a whole bunch of breaths between each step and being all up in your head about all those things, like, what am I doing? Is this really what I signed up for? What is happening? Like, I am dying here and this sucks and it's miserable. And what's the point? And in those moments, and I think we all can relate to that, whether it's in sales or in your family life or, whatever your deal is, your athletic achievements, to get your mind right about the very fundamental thoughts of getting your brain out of that dark place and switching it back over to some super good affirmations. I mean, just to have affirmations running over and over and over that you can do this. You are doing it. You're in the middle of the experience, which says a lot. That proves you're committed. It proves that you're on point. It proves you're exactly where you said you were going to be. So like, acknowledge it and say like, hey man, I'm doing this right now. I got this, and to know that you're strong enough to have gotten yourself in the position that you're in. And the whole goal is to be better, be stronger, take the next step.
Yeah, yeah, I love that. And that's really the mentality that I have to take. And like you said, doing real estate or anything that you're setting a goal for, there's going to be a point where the resistance gets so heavy that you start to question, is this what I should be doing right now? And if you can have that conversation with yourself of saying, take one more step, and then take it, and then say it again, take one more step. And it's just, in business, do it one more day, make one more call, just taking it one step at a time. Again, whether it's climbing, whether it's, building your real estate business, whatever the case may be, it holds so true to anything that we're doing in life. So for you, again, you had this mental preparation, you had the physical aspect of it. And once again, you said that there was a blueprint of mountains that you wanted to climb to work your way to it. I think especially in business, a lot of times we see the summit, we see the pinnacle of what we're trying to reach. And we just want to go straight from ground zero to 29,000 feet.
Yeah.
But there's a process. Can you share more in regards to the process and staying motivated as you go through that process?
Yeah, so that's a great question, Barry. I think all the time, like with mountaineering, man, it's pure physiology. It's a science of how much oxygen is available and how you acclimate your body to using that oxygen. And when you're above, honestly, man, when you're above 8,000 feet, you probably shouldn't go more than 3,000 in these notches where, like, you're in Colorado or even in the lower 48. Anybody who's into walking uphill knows that there's a bunch of 14,000 foot peaks. Mount Whitney's the biggest one. There's 56 of them or whatever here in Colorado. And anyways, we know what it looks like and feels like, most of us, to try to hike to the top of a 14er. And so you got to get used to doing that for a long time. And then you make a notch up to say, okay, the next notch up is like between 18 and 20,000 feet. And there's only so many of those. I mean, there's a lot of them, but there's only so many mountains like that in the world. And where are they? And how do you want to spend more time up there? So like I took man, I love vacationing in Mexico. I think Mexico is the coolest place ever. I really do. And Pico de Orizaba, big volcano down in Mexico, it's 18,650 feet. And you could fly. I mean, you and me, we could get on a flight, DIA right now today, and we could be in Mexico City. And by this afternoon, we could be at the 14,000 foot base camp on an 18,000 foot mountain. Mm-hmm. And to put that into perspective, right, we're used to hiking up to 14 and running out of breath. But the starting point in Mexico is 14. Like, that's where you rest and sleep and recover. Right. And you're going to go 4,500 vertical feet in one day. And so you're almost guaranteed to get some altitude sickness and come down to 14 and just feel like you're hammered. You got nothing. Your body's rejecting everything because there's just not enough oxygen. So get used to doing that and then going higher, so like, climbed Denali, I climbed Aconcagua. You start down the list of the 7 summits, the highest peak on each continent. And you start analyzing like, oh yeah, that one would be cool. That would be cool because now I need to know I know what it feels like at 18.6. Now I need to know what it feels like at 20. Yeah. And then I need to know what it feels like at 22. And Everest is 29. Mm-hmm. So like in business, I think we get around the like 3x maybe. Like maybe if you've got all the systems working, you're going to 3x your business in the next year. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think with mountaineering, it's maybe 1x a year is probably, like, unless you're young and you've got unlimited cash and you can spend a lot of time at a high altitude, just training at high altitude, like I'm planning on doing Everest again. And I think one of my moves is to get a vacation home in Leadville because it's at 10,000 feet and just live and work up there because my system will be better for it.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. And so while we're talking about that climb, so you gave it to us from a standpoint of finding the next peak. We have all these 14ers here in Colorado. So you had to find, the 18, and then you had to find the 20 and the 21. But something interesting that you shared with me in regards to when you were actually climbing Everest was the acclimation aspect of things, and where you would go up, but then you would come back down and you would go up again, all because of acclimating the body. Can you share more with us in regard to that?
Yeah. So on any of the big peaks, the bigger mountains, you you want to go up and touch that 3,000 from wherever you're at, right? So on Everest, for instance, base camp's at 17,500, and you spend about, I don't know, depending on the weather and depending on how everybody's feeling, there's a lot of different variables there, but you spend 4 to 7 days just hanging out, letting your body get used to what does a day look like and feel like at 17,500 feet, where there's 35 or 40% less oxygen.
Wow.
Right. So imagine, remember everybody was freaking out when we had to wear these things. Like, it's like wearing like 3 of these things and trying to breathe. Right. And so you just get your body used to that, what that feels like. You get and you gotta, at that altitude, your body, you just become acutely aware of all of your most basic systems. I mean, because you're just like on this borderline malaise, like you're not sick, but you're not well. Your stomach's a little jacked up, your head's a little jacked up, and it just takes a lot. You're not sleeping well. My resting heart rate at base camp, when I would wake up and look at my heart rate monitor after a night's sleep, it would be above 100 beats per minute. It would be like 108 beats per minute. And that's as relaxed and as rested as I was going to get for 7 weeks. Right. And so then from base camp, after you get used to that, you start making your way up through the Khumbu, and you're just like, okay, we're going to go another 1,000 feet, 1,500 feet. And we're going to sit down and drink water and eat snacks and just check in, like, who's dying? Like, what's going on? Or how easy is it to breathe? What does this feel like? How are we doing? What's happening? And even in those little jaunts, I was thinking like, holy crap, going up to 19,000 feet, I was just like, my lungs, this is a lot of work. Yeah. A lot of work. I mean, it's stuff like in the Khumbu ice fall is an amazing, very dangerous place, but it's an amazing thing. And I've told everybody, like, man, if they could 3D model that thing and put it at City Park or Wash Park, it would be the coolest playground. Everybody would be so stoked to go in there. Like, just unlimited climbing opportunities in this giant ice box, whatever, with a narrow path and the ladders and all that stuff. A lot of anxiety, a lot of fear. Where stuff can crush you in a minute just on a whim. But the deal was like, okay, this is what it feels like to breathe here without any oxygen assistance. Then you go back down to base camp and hang out and recover for 3, 4, 5 days. Then you go up and you make it up through the Khumbu and you spend a night at camp, which is at 9,000 feet above base camp. And you hang out there. Uh-oh, can you hear me?
Yeah, got you.
All right, cool. You hang out there for a night. And then on the next morning, you start to walk up to Camp 2. Again, you're just trying to edge up like another 1,000 feet just to see, like, what's it feel like? How's everybody feeling? How's the pace? How's your digestion? What's happening? And then you go back down, spend another night at Camp 1, and then go back down to base camp and hang out for a few days. Then on the next rotation, you go to Camp 2 and you hang out at Camp 2, which is at 22,000 feet. And you roll up to the base of the Lhotse face. You take a day hike. They would, in climbing, they'd be like, oh, it's your recovery day. Yeah. Okay, cool. Right. I'm going to walk from 22,000 feet up to 23,000 feet without any oxygen, where I'm like, taking one step and 2 or 3 breaths before I can even take another step.
Wow.
Right. So everybody in our culture is all like, hey, slow down, pump the brakes. And I've said forever, like, mountaineering is the slowest extreme sport on the planet. You're taking a step and you're catching your breath. And in that breath cycle of 2 or 3 breaths, you're You're reminding yourself why you're there. You're being grateful that your body's holding up. You're being grateful that you're not getting an avalanche hasn't hit you. You're being grateful that you're alive. You're being grateful that man, there's so much spirituality over there, Barry. It's, the Buddhism there. You're really tuned in to that. You're in the palm of God. And if he wants to crush you, man, it's like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So.
That when you shared that with me, the value that I got in that lessons was the fact that, again, when we are in our business or whatever it is that we're doing, that we're aspiring to, we always look at it as, okay, I make it to this level, and then the next step is to go to the next level. And if we take a step back, or if we take multiple steps back, if we go back 1,000 feet, we look at that as failure. We look at that as not being a part of the process. Something went wrong. But what you're sharing with me and what I understood and took from it is, no, it is a part of the process. Because in order to be able to continue the climb, I have to become acclimated to where I'm at right now. So I'm here for a moment, but I know that I got to go back to where I came from and climb this again, and do it a couple of times before I make the next ascension in the climb. And when I took that, thinking of it from a business perspective, it helps me every time there's a setback. Every time I'm going back, it's like, what do I need to learn from taking the steps back? So when I make the climb the next time, that I got more oxygen, that I'm prepared better to really ascend and continue to ascend. So like I said, that was probably, sharing what you shared about this journey for yourself. That was the most important thing that I took away from it. And it's helped me so much in business and in my mental thinking about having to take steps back. So I definitely appreciate that.
Nice, man. That's a huge takeaway. I appreciate that. That's a perspective. I'm glad that's what you got out back at base camp. I mean, if we were, if we just took like the physiological concept of recovery and put it into the business model, I think it's the same. I think all of us have some kind of a daily routine that keeps us grounded and keeps us focused and keeps us, on track. And if you don't, you please get one. Get your meditation or your yoga, your workout, your fresh air, your walk, whatever your routine is to get your head right for the day. That's what we're doing at base camp. We're getting back into the bucket of recovery. It's a bunch of reassurance, where you get to pinch yourself and be like, oh yeah, man, I did that. I'm looking across the valley, listening to the avalanches crash down every night. And I was just walking up there and I'm back here eating ramen noodles, man. Hallelujah. And it's like in business, I think that you're right, man. We've got it that we've just got to be on that linear trajectory. And we, as Americans or as humans, I don't know, man, we suck at the rest stop. And we don't see it as rest. We see it as failure, and it's like, no, man, take some time and collect yourself. I mean, even if that's at the, I've told a lot of corporate clients over the years, like, I get it, man. You're working an 18-hour day and you're saving the world. I get it, man. And take 5 minutes at the top of every hour and just stand up and be grateful for your body, be grateful for your mind, remind yourself what your task is, what your purpose, what are you contributing? Why are you here? Just take 5 minutes, feel the earth beneath your feet, feel the air on your skin, realize how blessed you are, then get back to it. Then get back to it, man. Then get back to it.
Yeah, man, you were speaking my language. I mean, it is all about the gratitude. And again, we get so caught up in the climb of, prosperity or in our business, and we forget about enjoying what it is that we have achieved, reflecting on what it is we have achieved, and showing and having gratitude for those achievements. So we got about 6 minutes here. So I want to jump right into, so 29,000 feet. You did not make it to the summit this time, but I just heard you say you're doing it again. If you want to kind of talk about that experience, kind of closing us out, of reaching where you did reach to at 26,000 feet, and what you took away from that, that experience of reaching 26,000 and looking forward to doing it again.
Yeah, you know what? I was reminded of a couple of really powerful things. There's no top to the mountain. Like I had that thing where it was like, holy crap, man, we've been out here for 6.5 weeks on this thing. And every day I feel like I'm staring up at the summit at the top of where I want to go. Mm-hmm. And every day or every few days or every week, we get a little closer. And each one of those rotations was higher than I'd ever been before, was better than I'd ever been before. And each one of them felt like what I had expected summiting to feel like. I mean, I was getting my ass handed to me on every 15 minutes, punch Murray in the throat. I mean, that's what it felt like up there. Yeah. It felt horrible. Here I am, like living my dream, and it felt horrible. And when the head guide and the head Sherpa came in and into the tent up there at Camp 4 and said, "Hey, listen, man, we don't think it's a good idea for you to continue. You're moving too slowly." It was like they took my spirit. The only thing I had left was my spirit. Like physically, physiologically, man, I was moving pretty damn slow. There was no doubt about it. And I was there. It was like I came into Camp 4 like high-fiving and hugging people, and they're like, you need to calm the fuck down and save your energy or you're going to die. And it was like, okay, check, roger that. And that's hard for me. Like I'm stoked that I'm here. We're here. Like, this is it. We're sitting at the foot of it. We're finally right there looking up at Everest, And then as I processed what was going on, I was just like, wow, you know what, man, I had it that my dream was a one-time event. Like I just said, I was so laser focused on this one goal and so myopic about this one thing that it just occurred to me I only had one opportunity. Mm. And within an hour or two of laying in the tent up there, I was like, well, shit, man, I can do this dream as many times as I want.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah. And I think that, man, that's another lesson right there, because again, I think a lot of times we think I got one shot at it. And here it is, and then we take that setback and think, man, I blew my shot. But you still got, blood pumping through your veins. You still have the passion and the desire. And there's nothing that's telling you that you can't do it again. And that's the same type of mindset that we have to take into anything that we have that setback. Just know, okay, I learned something from this that is going to help me make it further the next time.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It's always like, you're always learning. You always got to be progressing. No matter how smart or how fast or how strong or how successful you are or whatever, there's always going to be somebody better. And there's going to be a whole bunch of people right behind you that want what you have. And you just got to get back into your own space, in your own lane, and be grateful that you're where you're at. And what are the lessons to move forward? Like, how can I tighten it up next time? I've already got a whole different game plan going into climbing Everest again.
Awesome.
Right. And I think, I think one of the other big takeaways I want to leave people with that I came away from there was community. Mm. Like, and who you surround yourself with and who's got your back, and to realize that it takes a village. Like, success is not, it should not be a lonely pursuit.
Yeah. Absolutely. All right, Tim, I could talk to you all day about this, but we're coming to a close here. But if you want to just share with our audience how they can reach out to you, through your social media and any other way that they can reach out.
Tim Murray Realtor. So Tim Murray Realtor, that's IG, Facebook. That's Gmail, Tim Murray Realtor at Gmail. Man, my phone number, I'm kind of an old dude. I love getting a text or a call. If somebody actually calls me, my phone rings. I'm like, wow, how cool is that? Like, people want to communicate. So yeah, it's all over there. It's my contact information. If you can't find it, man, I don't know. I'd be frustrated.
All right. We'll definitely make sure we put it into the YouTube as well.
Cool.
Tim, man, it is a pleasure and an honor to call you a friend. Thank you so much for sharing this. Like I said, I know there's so much more that you can share. Ladies and gentlemen, if you heard something here that inspires you, reach out to Tim. He does in-person classes. So if you're here in the Denver market, you can actually go to one of his in-person classes where he talks more about Everest. He does an online Zoom of this same class, and it's about an hour long. But definitely tap into him, because you want to understand the mindset and the spirit that's inside of him that allows him to do the things that he's been able to achieve, and be able to adopt some of that for yourself to be able to achieve the goals that you're looking to achieve. So thank you, everyone, for joining us today on the Agent Power Huddle, and have a great rest of your week. Goodbye.
Thanks, guys.
If you'd like more information or to get connected to the Agent Power Huddle, join our free Facebook group. This call was designed for the agents in our EXP organization, but open to any agent from any brokerage. If you're a guest and you're interested in learning more about EXP or our specific resources within the Agent Collective, reach out to the person who invited you to this call to get more info. Produced by the Agent Collective Media Network.